here's the thing. Like, I don't even have like the pacing. Yeah, has its issues. Let's be for real. There in the 23 minutes that we have to watch this anime, we get 7 minutes of just things that happened before. So really,
Recap
we
and
only
intro.
get we only get 16 minutes of an actual anime.
But
number one.
why should Oda be penalized for
But-
what
but-
Toei
I'm not
decided
saying
to do?
That's not that.
We
I'm
didn't
not
say
saying
like-
we didn't say Oda is not a
I'm
great
not saying
mangaka.
Oda-
We just said the anime is not
But
perfect.
Oda also
Yeah, but
had,
the One Piece. I'm talking about the One Piece, the story of One Piece, right?
Okay, great. So, story of One Piece. Oda really did have to backtrack when he made Logia users and Haki. Like, that was something I get that maybe you can try to dress up that was kind of explained, but he really did have to backtrack because Logias at one point in time could not be touched, and he had to try to figure out a solution to make that possible. I think that there was some writing that was done to say, "Oh crap."
And
Kinda-
he
I
lost
kinda-
me, so
I kind of drew myself.
Yo, that's what I'm saying, Joe. This where you find Preston from?
go ahead.
Oh, hold on. Oh, Jared wanted to tap in. All right, go ahead, Jared.
Here's what I'll say. I feel like the overall question here is, is it a perfect anime? And when you look at that, you definitely have to subdivide it a little bit. You can't just say, is it a perfect anime? Because there's so many types of anime. Now, if you were to say, is it like a perfect shonen? Is it like a perfect shonen story? You could say it's close, but it's definitely not perfect. Yes, you could talk about the pacing being a negative thing, but some people enjoy the pacing of One Piece. It's what kept them going. Like, when One Piece first started, people liked that it wasn't super, like, over the top, like the way action is rushed now, like super into everything. Like, that's why a lot of people like One Piece, because the beginning of it is very entertaining. It's very, like, hilarious. It's very, like, comforting. You feel me? So, like, a lot of people who never, actually most people who watch it and catch up on it, the pacing is never a thing that deters them for real if they're actually enjoying what every episode has to offer. Of course, no anime is perfect. Like, obviously, there's always going to be something wrong with it. But if you want to talk about what's the best, what's the closest to, like, the best, I feel like, objectively well written and showed shonen, it is One Piece. You feel me?
Let him know.
That's what I think. That's what I think in that category. Now, if you compare it to signings and slice of lives, well, then it's like, well, that's not the same type of
right.
goal.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
But for shonen, it's like what they are trying, what like Oda's trying to do. Like, yeah, Preston, you lost me. But he made Haki up. There's early signs of Haki even before.
I feel like there were things to play off of, but sometimes I forget, and maybe I could have elaborated that a little bit more. Sometimes I think that Oda kind of forgets some things, and luckily he does, like, kind of puts things into the story to where he can maybe come back and pick off of. But I think sometimes, like, he forgets that he actually put them there, and he has to, like, kind of go back and dig. I think Haki for me was one of those things that, like, he kind of forgot about, and he had to go back and dig in to try to, like, find it and make it, like, a reasonable thing to be able to use. Because at one point in time, like I said, Logias were running, like, they were, like, running the gauntlet. Like, if you were a Logia user, it was really hard for anybody to keep up with you. Like, even with Smoker or even Crocodile, like, there were issues, like, bruh, it was hard to keep up with these people. And again, and I'll backtrack because maybe he did write that within his writing to say, hey, yo, I, like, kept this here to maybe kind of go back and pivot off of if I have that issue. But at one point in time, I was like, how is he going to deal with this? And I didn't, and I get that we saw, like, there were some instances of maybe, and I quote that to say maybe, that Haki was being able to be used even with, like, Rayleigh and Luffy going to go train with him. Like, so there were instances, but at one point in time I was like, how you gonna get out of this? Because I didn't see it in the writing.
I mean, Shanks used Haki to scare out the sea monster after he got his arm taken off, right? Like, I don't know why his arm got taken off. I don't know why he couldn't use it beforehand, but he
at that time, like, it wasn't addressed, it wasn't named. Like, we didn't know.
Sure. No, and I agree there, but I think you could, if you want to, you could penalize Oda for the way Haki was introduced. But to say it was like a retcon type situation, I can't.
Because what I look at it mostly is like as you're saying, like, oh, he's introducing more characters where you're like, there's really no solution to the devil fruits. It's like, well, he still starts you off with like a character that kind of wages the gap of strength a little bit, and he starts off with Garp. Like the first introduction of Garp is early, and it's that he was the war hero. He's the one who fought Roger in his prime and stopped Roger. That means like anybody we see from here on out, we have to imagine that they're probably not stronger than Garp until like, you know, we really see them get to boxing, and that's like way during the wars and all that stuff, which by then we have a clear indication of what hockey is going on. Yeah. But I feel like when he started with Garp saying like, oh yeah, Garp is the top dog, I felt like, well, we knew he had no devil fruit for a minute. I was like, okay, well, obviously this man is swole as heck. Like, you feel me? Regardless, I feel like he was not worried about, you know, characters Luffy can barely beat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think
that's
too,
like, how I felt.
I think too, like shows are known to like, we're known to like get a piece of the pie for a little bit, and as we progress to the story, as we progress and introduce more and stronger characters, we understand the power system of the entirety of the world more and more as we go through. And I feel like hockey was one that, like you said, hockey surpasses all. Like hockey, it runs the world, right? So that was a system that got introduced, I guess, more fleshed out down the road after we kind of learned more about devil fruits and stuff like that. And now here's a superior power to that. And now we have to go through a whole nother training arc to kind of get Luffy to get to that point, and then also everybody else to kind of learn that as well. So,
right. I guess that's my thing, or more so like what Robin Jared said is like, maybe it's the issue of like how he introduced it, because at one point in time, like it just wasn't a thing. Like, sure, we knew that like Shanks looked at the Sea King and like Sea King got scared and ran away. But at that time, like, was it just because Shanks was Shanks, or was it because like
where was the armament? Where was the armament hockey, Rob?
And so, and again, that was going to be my next question.
Shanks, that
was going to be my next question. Like, again, I feel like sometimes Oda may just
he wagered it on the new era.
Man,
but no, sir.
He wagered it on the new era,
bro.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Crazy, because you couldn't have done that. Because Oda wrote that in, and that's what I'm saying. Because Oda wrote that in.
Look how far Luffy is right now.
If you want to hear my honest opinion, I feel like, you know, that is still a 20-year weaker Shanks, and in my opinion, I think he just wasn't fast enough to defeat the Seahawk, defeat the Sea King, or save Luffy, bro.
Absolutely, didn't say that. Didn't tell me
that's
that.
what I always say.
Hold on, but why?
No, not you.
Why can he stare at the Sea King and scare him off?
Because he might have used. I'm saying, bro, he might have used hockey there, but it just wasn't like prominent to where it's like, oh, I have Conqueror's Wi-Fi. No, he probably just did a little slice flex and got him going. My fault, Preston. I was just gonna say this one quick thing. I think the narrative out there is that people are saying, "Oh, because Shanks lost his arm, he got weaker." So, I mean, we can't have it both ways. I don't think him losing his arm got weaker, bro. No. I don't think it made him weaker.
I believe he got stronger. So,
that is my issue with the writing. Like, sometimes the writing can get just a little bit wonky, because if Shanks is him, and according to Jared, if that's the case, then like I would need to know that. But if Shanks was able to scare away a Sea King, but in the instance he still is able to lose his arm, like where is the balance?
I mean, but that's
time. Preston, time out.
I think people are focused too much on the arm loss. I really do. I really do think it was a decisional type situation, because from what we know, we don't know when Shanks saw Luffy in the river. We don't know if he saw him from the beach. We don't know if he just sensed something was wrong. I'm just saying, like, but that's what I'm saying. That's up to interpretation, bro. The interpretation is he sacrificed his arm for Luffy because he felt like he had no choice. It was either Luffy's life or my arm. So it may not be. But I'm saying, though, this is 13 years ago. This may not be written in stone, you feel me, what happened. But the whole message, the whole reason Shanks talks about his arm is because he made the conscious decision to give his arm up for Luffy's life. Now, if he had to do that, we would assume it wasn't just because, oh, the Sea King would whoop on his ass. I feel like it was because he had to make that decision. Yeah. So when he looked at the Sea King was like, dang, he could probably still get busy, especially if he's in this anger state of mode, and dipped, bro. You feel me? He dipped.
I
mean, like,
I gotta say something to Preston real quick. Go ahead, Rob. The level of disrespect that is coming from you is just it's alarming. I feel like we have to understand that Oda as a mangaka, right? Oda as a mangaka has earned the respect for you to be like, okay, let me wait to see what secrets
we're not getting no explanation on this, Rob. There's no explanation coming.
That's the reality. He's earned that respect.
I agree.
You look at what Kuma, right?
I agree. I agree with you, Rob.
All right.
100%.
Okay.
But so, like some things, like I said, you can be 95% and not be the total 5 to make it 100. It's okay.
Listen, that's what I interpreted, bro. That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
No, that was more symbolic.
That's the first time I've heard it that way, I think. Too, for me, at least for me. So, I mean, that makes sense. I guess my whole thing is like, if you're strong enough to scare him away, you're strong enough to stand there. Like, you're strong enough to stop him. Like, not mind you, again, it's either, like you said, situational, we don't know, Luffy's life or the arm. So, like, in that sense, thinking about it that way, all right, cool. But I'm like, bro, if you was, it just... But
also, bro, there are instances in One Piece though, bro, where cats get scared away and they can't beat their opponent, bro. That's a very like common occurrence in One Piece, that like intimidation is like a show of the will, show of the heart. So I'm not saying that like,
so. Yeah, you're right.
I'm not saying, because honestly, do I think Shanks could have beat that Sea King? Probably, because that Sea King is really not that strong, and Shanks is still pretty strong at that time. He fought Blackbeard by then, but. Do I think that Shanks was so much more powerful than the Sea King that he could have decided right then and there from whatever situation he had prior to give his life, to give his arm up? Or like Luffy's in the water, bro, and he can't swim. He ate a devil fruit. He's about to get eaten.
Yeah. No, I'm
with
you. Yeah, like, I'm with you. Situational definitely, thinking of it situationally definitely helps.
Yeah, and then it's also like this Shanks is 13 years ago Shanks. That's a long time.
Yeah.
I mean,
like that's not no light. 13 years of One Piece is like 50 years in a time chamber.
Could we also maybe say that depending upon which haki it was, maybe Oda did not know how to write it? Like, because the haki that Shanks exhibited was different from Armament, so maybe Armament was not written until later on, but maybe other hakis were introduced before we actually kind of got to know what it was.
Preston, let me ask you this though. Do you think Shanks purposely gave Luffy the fruit? Because he had.
Oh, see, we get into
now we get to that. All right, hold on. Let's not go too crazy.
Asking.
Because we got a whole bunch of anime to talk about.
Okay, all right. Because
I love the question.
You see what I was setting up? I was setting something up. All right.
That's valid.
Well, listen, for what you were saying, President, I think that Oda like sets up haki. Like, I think he's always set up haki so that it would be kind of like a slow unveiling. Like, people were supposed to get that there was something going on before he even said anything. That's why I feel like even in the beginning, when we have our instances of haki, he was trying to show you that the moral of the story here when it comes to strength is willpower. You feel me? So it's like, even though we're not talking about haki or saying what the types are yet, you see the most willful characters getting things done so that by the time we get to a little bit more in depth with the powers and the devil fruits, you're like, oh, okay, you can see, like, it's not like haki was, I don't feel like it was like, you know, still that further regressed. I feel like there was instances that made you feel like, okay, this is the path we're going in when it comes to strength.
I get that.